is a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Jeremy Lee in the building and every guest that you ever needed. Sports cards after hours keep the hobby heated. Updates, hobby talk like you never seen it. Sports cards live and none could ever beat it. Sports cards is a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Welcome to another episode of Sports Cards Live with your host, Jeremy Lee.
All right, guys, welcome back. Thank you for coming over from the last episode that just finished a few minutes ago. This is After Hours, and I'm here with my buddy, Mr. Joe Poirot from Santa Cruz. What's up, Joe? How you doing, buddy?
Doing well, Jeremy. Great show. That was very entertaining. If people didn't catch that one, they should definitely go back and give it a whirl.
Yeah, that was quite the marathon. It's always more challenging doing those solo episodes because I have no one that can talk for 3 minutes and I can just sit there and catch my breath and sip my water. So I see how these guys who do their shows themselves all the time, what that challenge is like. I don't experience it as much as they do. But hey, man, no, thanks for joining me. You've been on this After Hours with me several times in the past. It's always fun. And actually had the opportunity to see you in person not too long ago, which was awesome as well, down in Palm Springs, California. So that was great. But let me ask you this. Let's segue from the last episode and just, you watched it. I thank you for that. What stuck out to you? Do you have one or two sort of things that stuck out and your take on anything? What were your takeaways?
Yeah, well, you really did cover a lot. So I kind of just tried to grab a couple things that impressed me or resonated with me. One was kind of early on in the show, you were maybe somewhat not in your bucket list of things you were intending to talk about, but you just kind of returned to the idea that the cards are always there for us when we're not, whether it's life drama or hobby drama, returning to our own collection, kind of going internal. And that's really been resonating with me, rediscovering cards or just appreciating cards. And that also has been something you and I talked about in the realm of consolidation. It's almost as you refine and pare down your collection at different stages of your life, it almost allows you to appreciate the cards that you are holding on to even more. So that was one nugget.
Let me just add on to that because like I probably said it last time, but just to really formulate my thought on that, when I go through periods where I'm not buying lots of cards, I'm still satisfied. You often see people say, enjoy the cards you have. It doesn't always have to be about the next card. Enjoy the cards that you already have. And that's something that I've always done, but I'm doing it even more now and over the last few months because I'm not buying cards like I was for personal reasons. And, I'm okay with that because I got lots of cards to love and enjoy, and I'm getting more utility and more value out of my dollar that I spent on those cards. And it's not, I own them and I enjoy them. So yes. What was the other thing that you were going to mention?
Yeah, well, it just to tag on to that, because it has been for me the thing that has really been helpful at this moment in my world. And it's not always it's not always the heavy hitter cards. It's not always the banger cards. Sometimes it's cards that you picked up long ago for just your appreciation of, a VG 65, Joe Morgan rookie card that's kind of tattered and beat up. And, just kind of remembering that card and appreciating it. And that kind of leads into the other thing that I think was almost a theme that kind of came again and again in sort of, kind of a iterative way almost in the show. And one of your commenters used or sort of made the comment that isn't this card restoration, card alteration thing somewhat inevitable with the phenomenon of grading? And I thought that was a very interesting and poignant comment. And it led to, at various moments in the show, you discussing I think of it almost like the Goldilocks story, where, Goldilocks is presented with 3 bowls of porridge or something like that. And, it's like, not this one, this one's too hot. Not this one, this is too cold. This one is just right. And I'm more and more appreciating that. And I was hearing you sort of speaking to that as well with relation to cards, especially vintage cards, where you really are going to have some trepidation if you have a 7 or an 8, has it been trimmed, possibly other stuff, or you don't want a card that looks like it's been handled by a child, so to speak, and isn't very good to look at. What I've been more and more engaged in is looking for those cards, and they, I think your viewer said, 2s, 3s, and 4s in that range that just have strong eye appeal, whether, that's centering for some of us, although not in the case of your Jackie Robinson, which you've developed an attachment to, but, color, saturation, registration, surface, rounding corners, which can bring many cards down quite a bit, into the realms of 4s and even 3s, may not be such a horrible thing. So that was the other thing that I felt like that got approached at various moments, and almost is the antidote, or what the current environment is inviting us as collectors to consider more and more, is what is that sweet spot? What is that, Goldilocks porridge that is just right for our tastes? And my taste may be different than yours, but that was a good part of the show.
Yeah, thanks. And when I think about rounded corners, I'm okay with rounded corners on my vintage cards as long as it's uniformly rounded. I don't want there to be like the right corners to be rounded and the left corners to be square or opposite. I'd want them all to be the same. So, but yeah, I like my cards to look their age. I want them to tell a bit of a story, as I said before. So I'm glad. Thanks for sharing those takeaways from that episode. It was a fun episode for sure. Certainly engaging. Chat was on fire. So thanks to all of them. Dan's Vintage says that was never 5 minutes. Was it a few more? I'm sorry, Dan. Jeff McMahon. Yeah, After Hours is back. I realized I hadn't done After Hours since I think September. And here we are March, like 6 months later, we're doing an After Hours show. Maybe we'll do them more moving forward. 86 says after the show, it's the after party. Mike's for sure kicking it old school with After Hours. Jeremy is back. Fallow Fireball. Yelia is here. What's going on? Good evening to you. Dan's right to your comment. If you can't take a breath, sit in front of your cards and enjoy them, then why are you collecting? Maybe you're investing, but you're not collecting. Or listen, I don't want to say to anybody what you're doing, but I'm with Dan on this one. I love pulling out some cards and just putting them on the table and just enjoying them, and next night or a couple nights later, pulling out different cards and just enjoying them. Yes, for sure. Sean says, my collection was 4,000 cards. Now I'm down to under 200 and they're all on display and I see them all every day. Well done. Well done, Sean. That's beautiful. Bob Boozle. If Goldilocks was a card cleaner, then I want the Bears to eat her. Jake Stowe says 4s are the new 9s. Well, vintage wise, 4s are the new whatever. Call them 9s. Mark is back. Good to see you again, Mark. And Daniel A is back again. Daniel, it's late for you. I can't believe you're still here, but glad that you are. Robert Scott back for overtime, which we're calling After Hours. Thanks, Robert, for being here. So, Joe, there were two things that two kind of bullets to talk about. The first one was the thought process that we go through when we are spending significant money on a card for our collections. And I think it's going to be, that thought process is going to be different depending on where you are at financially. What percent of your discretionary money, I won't say income because just money on hand, are you about to spend on a card? If you've got $20,000 in savings and you find a card for $5 or $10,000 that you want to spend, you want to buy, well, that's a quarter to 50% of your overall life savings. You might need to go through a mental process before you cut that check or make that purchase. But if you're spending $5,000 on a card and you've got, $500,000 or $5 million cash in the bank liquid, then it's not as serious of an issue. That's why it's important to kind of find that, kind of make all else equal and say, like, whatever is big money to you, where it is significant for whatever reason you have. Joe, do you go through a series of questions or tests or filters to decide for yourself, okay, I'm not really in a position to spend $5,000 on a card, but oh, this is a card I want. How do you go through that in your mind and justify it? And I also, where did I put? I had a question came in on Instagram from JP Zidane. He asked me to ask a specific question here, and I thought I put it. Yeah, here I'm going to read JP's question exactly. It sort of ties into the question we were going to talk about. He says, how do you budget for cards? Have you ever overextended yourself? If so, how did you manage that? I know for me personally, it can be tough to manage, especially when a grail becomes available. That's a question from JP Zidane on Instagram. It was funny because it was very similar to my topic, which was, what process do you go through in your mind when you're spending a lot of money or significant money to you on a card? And with all that set up now, I'm going to pass over to you, Joe, to just share your thoughts on that topic.
Thanks. Yeah. Well, I appreciate that you sort of threw out the caveat of, significant for one person may be different for another. So, definitely want to kind of acknowledge that, for many people, a significant expenditure might be $200, $300, $500, and for other people might, be upwards in the, 5-6 figures. So with that said, my own process, I don't always go, sometimes I act impulsively and emotionally, but if it's significant enough where I am going to have to kind of galvanize resources to make it happen, the first thing I'll ask myself is this really a key card? I mean, you got to kind of like go through that thought experiment, and in that question, you should also ask, why is it a key card? Does it have a place in my collection or in my hobby experience or my life experience? Is there something particular about this acquisition in relation to how I'm, my whole life, how I'm set up, what I appreciate, what my values are, as a collector, as a person, which, this starts to sound a little grandiose, but I think those of us who have lived in the hobby space for decades upon decades, that's not a gratuitous question. That's a real question to ask ourselves. The other question that I tend to ask myself is, would I anticipate, if I have my eyes on a particular copy, and in the realm of vintage, every copy is different, even with a particular grade, if not all threes are created equal. In the modern market, it might be the difference between a 9 and a 10, or, a different parallel version. So the question in both of those cases is, do I anticipate wanting a better card somewhere down the road? In other words, do I see this as kind of the apex of what I would want for this version? Because if you already know that it's not, if you're really looking at laying out some serious dough and it's not the end all be all kind of card for you, in that, probably better to hold out, right? I mean, you could make the argument that you're going to build towards that, but I don't know. I'm not sure how many years on planet Earth I have and how many opportunities. And so for me, I would rather, if I'm pulling the big trigger on a card, I'd rather have it feel like this is the one, and not like, well, I'll get into the 2 so I can get into a 4 later. So, again, is this version the one I want with regards to, eye appeal? Or maybe if it's a patch card, is this patch really speaking to me? Or, is this, you're going for the gold, but would you really want, would you be fine with, or would you really want the black ultimately, if you're going with like a prism parallel or a select parallel? So those are kind of the questions that I ask. And then lastly, maybe is just timing. Is it important to get this card now? Is this the kind of card that only comes up at particular moments, and you will not be likely to see it again once this opportunity disappears? Or is this the kind of card that you can wait on? Maybe the market's coming down, maybe it's going up. You can never really time the market, is what they say. But nonetheless, you might be able to kind of assess for yourself how important this card is if it's not a card that needs to be purchased in this moment. Because oftentimes, in my experience, if it's a card that I know I can get a year or two from now with relative ease, if I wait and don't pull the trigger, it turns out that I didn't miss it. I didn't mind. Oh, and then one other thing, very important, especially in relation to you, talking to a friend. Just talking to a friend to sort of, one, have them look at it, because you can get feedback that way, but then, also having them hear you. And if they know you well enough, and there's really only 2 or 3 people that I'll engage in that conversation with who I trust in that regard. But, it's the old lifeline, can I call a friend?
Yeah.
And so those are some of my go-tos, I guess, when thinking about key cards.
So all of that was really about determining, is the card a key card for yourself that you need to buy? So now go to the next step. You've determined that this is a card you want. How do you, okay, so for example, take a very common card like 52 Tops Mickey Mantle. Very common, no problem finding one. But when you find the right one, that's a huge card. That's huge money. So I'm just using that for fun because it's such a big card. But maybe you've got 100 million, maybe you're worth 100 million, and you finally found that one copy of the PSA 7 or 8 Mantle 52 Tops that you want to buy. Okay, you're 100 millionaire. Bad example. I'm gonna use a different example. I'm gonna try and keep it realistic. Okay, so you're Joe Poirot, you're in Santa Cruz, and a copy of the 48 or 49 Leaf Satchel Page comes along, and that's a tough card, right? And it comes along, and you're seeing it, or sorry, the 48 Leaf Satchel comes along, and it's whatever the grade is, doesn't matter. They're all expensive, but this is the right one for you. You are hard up for this card. You want this card bad, and it's going to cost you a lot of money, such that you're not just going to hit it. You're going to think about this, and you're going to look at your bank statements, and you're going to, whatever the amount is, but you've honed in that it meets all your needs. This is the apex card for you. It is the one you want. How do you get over that mental hurdle of spending all that money? And for a lot of us, it's just, I want the card. I'm a collector. I'm going to buy it. We had a comment here from Yelia, says, never met a collector who didn't overextend themselves a little bit when the right card crossed their path. So it's fine to say it's fine to say that you're extending yourself, but before you extend yourself, you're making those decisions. No one's bidding on that card for you. You're doing it yourself. With all that said, how do you get yourself past that? What are you thinking about in order to spend that money that you might not be able to afford? How do you get over that mental hurdle of, I can't afford this, but I want the card, so I'm going to buy it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I can't say that I have been in that situation very many times. And I've, been lucky enough to be collecting long enough where most significant cards in my collection I got over a decade ago. So that's helpful, right? In the new context, if I did arrive at that moment, and it might end up being more like a Larry Doby than a Satchel Page, just because of the price tag. But either of those cards would be bucket list cards for me. 48 Leaf. It would come down to, what can I liquidate in my collection that would make an expenditure and essentially a trade, right? You might not be trading directly with the person, and that starts to help you consider, is the value there for me? As you start to kind of chip away at a price tag, say it's 20K or whatever, 30K, how many 1K, 2K, 3K cards am I willing to sell to get to a point where that expenditure is going to start to make sense? And can I stomach those cards not being in my collection anymore? If you can, if you can kind of just, it's an equation. It's like, okay, these 10 cards and X amount of cash and we're good. You look at that and make a choice.
I think that's what JP Zidane, who put the question to me on Instagram, he said, have you ever overextended yourself? How did you manage it? It can be tough to manage when a grail becomes available. I think the easy answer is if I have the cash available, I'm going to buy the card because the cash is in the bank. But then how am I going to replace that cash? Because that cash wasn't meant for sports cards. That cash was meant to pay the rent, pay the mortgage, feed the kids, feed myself, whatever. So then it comes down to what you said, looking through the collection and feeling like I'm actually making a trade here. It's going to be a three-way trade, but it's going to work out to be I don't know who the third party is yet. It might be more than one third party. There might be three. I might have to sell 4 cards or 40 cards or 400, whatever it is. But I'm going to dispose of cards to buy these new ones. I'm kind of going through that in my head right now. There's a deal out there for a couple of cards with somebody, private deal. And I want the cards, but I don't want them super, super bad. So it's like, and I don't want to put out the cash either. So I'm thinking to myself, well, if I do buy them, what cards could I trade? Do I have cards in my collection that I don't like as much to trade for those ones and bring someone else into the, unknowingly into this 3-way deal? And that's how I look at it. But I've never overextended like you. I don't remember a time where I overextended myself. Have I spent more money than I'm comfortable spending? Yes. But that money never came out of the day-to-day Jeremy Lee living fund and family. It just came out of the money that was there, but more than I was comfortable spending. So Robert Scott makes a great comment, and this is something that I agree with, and I'm pretty sure I adhere to this as well. He says, for me, higher dollar items have to be cards I love, as well as easily being liquid if life goes sideways. That's it. You right? If you're buying the one-of-one card of, a not very important basketball player or football player from Prism, I mean, be careful, because it might be liquid, but you might have paid the most anyone will ever pay for it. But if you're spending the big money on a Mantle or a Gretzky or a Jordan, it's liquid. You're going to be able to get, say, 90% of your money back out of it at worst, most likely, hopefully. And then you can, like you said, like Robert Scott says, if life goes sideways, I'll be okay. I think that's the key. First, see if I can turn it into a trade. And then number 2, trade by selling cards to replenish that money. Number 2, can I get out of this card if life goes sideways on me? I think that's a good way to look at it. Do you think that way too, Joe?
Oh yeah. Yeah. If I didn't mention that, yeah, you definitely want to feel like you're not just lighting money on fire. And so, some consideration of the likelihood of, what you were just talking about with the Ohtani situation, but we've seen it with other living athletes, certainly players that are still playing. Legacies can be tarnished. So yeah, I think you've got to be prudent in that respect. Well, you don't have to be, but I would be. I would suggest, and I'd look after, my friends in that way too. And it's like kind of like, okay, are you okay with this potentially, going to half or less, especially in the modern world? We've seen that in the last 3 or 4 years. But yeah, it's funny. I don't think I've ever, notwithstanding your commenter's statement about collectors never overextending themselves. I mean, I certainly have felt like I've overextended myself at moments, but boy, would I give a lot to be able to go back to, say, 2006, hell, 2012, and overextend myself, knowing kind of what we know now with particular cards and, cards that I love. And in some instances I have, and I was lucky enough, but more often than not, I tended to get the cheaper versions. And that's where you and I get jealous at some of your pickups back in the day, because you had the forethought to generally get pretty solid versions of cards. So the only consolation I had was when you rolled out your bucket list, I had at least 2 of the cards that the 53 Mays and the Gehrig Gaudi. So at least I have those cards. They're both they're not in very great condition. Well, the Maze is okay, but anyway.
Yeah. Let's go to some comments here. Mark Santucci wants to know, Joe, will you be going to the Cleveland National?
Yeah, Mark, I don't know if I'll be going to the National. I've been kind of just enjoying staying in the state of California, and I'm on a little, self-chosen sabbatical right now, and I'm kind of getting geared up to go back into the educational world in the fall. So it's possible that I will be already in an office at that point and fighting the good fight. So probably not. If I do go to a national, I think I'm gonna wait for a Chicago, just because I think that might be a higher experience.
And you'll have 3 years in a row to go to the national starting in 2025. Professor, good evening. Welcome back to you. Foul 5-ball, same to you. Says, I like sharp corners. Centering and factory flaws are not as important to me. Yeah, I love that approach, Jeremy. I really do. Rage is back. Jake's Toe says, I buy some smaller cards for future trade deals. I just never end up trading them. Right. Yeah, I hear you. And Hits and Chicks, haven't seen this account for a long time, says Joe is a GOAT guest. Well, we'll take that for sure from Hits and Chicks. All right. Good. Well, I think that's that, when I buy cards for significant money, I think we've covered off most of what I think of. It has to, it's got to be a card I love. I have to love like everything about it. I have to love the aesthetic, the design, the player featured, the set, the brand, and I have to be convinced that if life goes sideways, that I'm going to be able to get most of my money back out of it. I have to be able to convince myself of that. And I've been through something like that. I went through something like that just last year where it didn't go sideways so much, but I got myself into a bit of a pickle. And I had to get out of some cards, and I had to get out of them I had to get as much out of them as I could. And I did okay. I did okay. Showed me that the process I go through when I purchase a big card, whatever, say 500 plus, the process I go through when I make that purchase is a good one. I won't say it's the best one, because I'm sure there are better ones, but it's one that has worked for me. And because I sold cards that I didn't plan on selling for 25 years, but life happens and it's going to be very unpredictable at times. So
that's why I liked the question you got in the first show about your bucket list cards, because I tend to find that it's the cards that I've been thinking about for a long time that are the ones I should. It's not a flight of fancy, and I'm capable of flights of fancy, to be sure. I can see a card and fall in love with it and never know it had existed. I remember you probably knew it existed, but there was a Ty Cobb card that you kind of had a fancy for, and I think it was a PWCC weekly or maybe a premiere. And you were like, you were like, I think you were telling Adam, like, I might actually bid on this card. This card is amazing. And then you ended up not bidding on it. And I don't know where you are with that card now. I don't even remember exactly what it was. It was a slightly, different sized card, maybe
Sporting News or something.
Yeah, it was not a beautiful card. And I affirmed that it was attractive enough. Nonetheless, I don't want to say you dodged the bullet, but the flight of fancy passed, and maybe not fancy, but the impulsive moment passed, and now you remain steadfast in you're looking for that Gehrig, you're looking for that Maze, and you're looking for that Jolton Joe DiMaggio. So and you will know when you find those right versions for you, and then it won't be a question of should I not. It will be, okay, how do we make this happen? Because you've had those in your sights for a long time.
I have. And I'm just still not in a position to be buying cards for thousands of dollars, but I hope to be in that position, in the future at some point, where I'm more comfortable putting out that kind of money into a card. But Yeah, I hope to, because I love cards, and those are three that I definitely want to add to my collection. And again, they're not rare cards; they're easy to find. It's just finding the right copy at the right time.
Yeah.
Because they're like almost no two are the same from those eras. So, okay, good. A couple comments. Sean Red, I'm a mint looking, but 60-40 guy. That is how they looked when I pulled them out of the packs as a kid. So you like mint 60-40 centering. Fair. Lantern Card says, I was finally able to get that Crosby Seismic Gold from you. Yes, you were. And that was one of those cards that had to go to just at that time to the highest bidder. 90s. It's nice to hear that your collection was there to support you when you needed it. Yeah. And I still love, I don't have any seller's remorse, and I still love the collection I have. I actually find that I like my collection a bit more because it's more focused. I mean, I basically went from I don't know, just to use round numbers, say I went from a 3,000 card collection to a 2,000 card collection. I still have 2/3 of my collection, and I didn't sell anything that I really I sold a couple cards that I miss for sure, but I kept a lot of cards that I just absolutely love, and I'm very happy with my collection as it is, even after disposing of 1/3 of it. Robert Scott, you have to be able to talk yourself out of a purchase just as easily as you can talk yourself into it. Yeah, right on. Great comment. I do that all the time. Right now, I'm doing it a lot. I have to talk myself out of it. And I don't want to, but I have to. And so I do. Yeah, all good comments, guys, for sure. Yeah, and to JP Zidane, if you're listening to this or watching, that's as good of advice. If you're, because he says it can be tough for him to manage when a grail becomes available. Well, you either got to find more money, or you got to find cards to trade away for it, or you got to go on ramen noodles with your family for a couple of months to reallocate money from the household operations account to the hobby account. I kid, of course, but I mean, it's hard to really counsel anybody on this because it all comes down to money, really, and priorities. So,
yeah. One of my friends, he's a player collector, and when a huge card comes up, like a massive, say a NT shield or, something big, they will go into that selling off phase in order to be able to finance something. But what's interesting is they, he was mentioning, I sell the same player so that I'm not leveraging too far in the direction of one of, say, 4 or 5, main players that you collect. In other words, if you start selling off the others, then you're kind of imbalancing the portfolio, so to speak. So I think that's a nice little thing to consider too, is not just, am I willing to sell cards, but which cards can you sell that maybe are in the same umbrella of the card that you're picking up. I don't know all that much about hockey, but if you were going to get the world's best Solani, sorry. You might want to sell some Solani in order to get that very best Solani. You might not if that's your guy, but yeah, you get the point I'm making.
I get the point. I think that works if you only collect 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 players in your whole collection.
Right.
I collect way more than that. I have way more player represented in my collection. So I don't think I would approach it that way.
Yep.
Now if it's because let's say I want to pick up another Jackie Robinson card. I only have his 48 Leaf card. If I want to pick up another Jackie card, I would not consider selling the 48 Leaf. Joe DiMaggio, better example. The 41 is a card that the 41 play ball is a card that I really want to acquire one day, but I'm not going to sell my 38 Gaudy to get it. There's no way. That card I love even more. So I would be looking elsewhere in my collection. I will look everywhere in my collection. I actually would not, that approach would not be my approach. I see it for, again, if you collect 5 players, that makes sense to me. But if you collect all sports or, the 4 major sports, maybe you collect some non-sport, a little bit of boxing, maybe some golf. I'm not using that approach. Mark Santucci says same tier. Maybe you're going to look in the same tier. That maybe, but maybe not. Maybe what I'd rather do is, that's the easiest way, because it's like, okay, well, I only have to sell one card from the same tier to get that card. But maybe I'd rather say, you know what? I collected this set 12 years ago. It's got 50 cards in it. I could probably get $5,000 if I sold them off one at a time. It's taking up room. I don't need them anymore. If, been there, done that. Maybe I'm ready to move on from that set and put them into one card, a bit of a consolidation exercise as well. That's more or less how I think I would go. That's what I think how I see myself doing it.
Yep.
And maybe I'll look to that to be able to add a card off my bucket list in the next, 6 months. It's maybe next week to 6 months from now, maybe as soon as tomorrow night, who knows? Maybe I'll go through tomorrow during the day, say, okay, you guys, you're out of the PC. I'm done with you. I'm going to, maybe I'm going to get $5,000 for you guys. I'm going to go put $5,000 into this Lou Gehrig card or a Ty Cobb or a whoever, Willie Mays, whatever it might be. I can see myself doing something like that. But I like Mark's comment there. I think that makes a lot of sense. Some more comments. Joe Decoy says, tough position I've experienced is trying to complete a set, comes to a standstill. Only options are to wait for the cards to pop up or buy unopened wax and hope you find the missing pieces. That's an expensive way to go. I would be patient. I'm willing to wait years. I need one card for a set I started collecting in 2014. Need one more card out of a 97 card set. It's a one of one. Obviously, it's a bit different. I'm willing to wait forever. I'll wait until I might never get it. I'm still happy. But yeah, sometimes you just got to wait. He goes on to say, I did this recently, was fortunate to hit 4 of the missing cards, but the odds are not in your favor when the set is almost complete. No, that's right. It isn't. Sean says, I only collect the top 20 hockey players from the last 40 years. Hey, nice box to be in, I would say, right there.
Yeah, I mean, that came up, I think, both in the premier auction discussion with Adam, and also even just in the previous show where you're sort of talking about different restrictions or boundaries that we can put on ourselves. And that resonated with me as well. I probably need more boundaries because sometimes I can be all over the place and too eclectic in my collecting interests. And if good on the viewer to focus. One day you're buying an Anthony Edwards card. The next day you're buying a Larry Doby. I mean, they couldn't be any more different. I'm pretty wide ranging. Definitely.
For sure. Hits and Chicks, hearing the Panini will obtain the NHL license for 2025. Yeah, that's not happening. That's a good joke, Hits and Chicks. I don't know who Hits and Chicks is. It might be Jordan. I'm not sure. But Hits and Chicks spreading false rumors for sure.
Is Jordan Riker or
Jordan Silver? Jordan.
Yeah, I know. I'm very familiar with the username, and I'm just trying to think if it's who it is.
Big Jordan. I'm not
Silverberg. Yeah,
Silverberg. Yeah.
Maybe.
I'm not sure if it's him or not, but maybe.
Yeah. Maybe they can identify themselves.
All right. Anything else on your mind? I do what I mentioned on the thumbnail for this too is that I thought it would be fun to go through and just talk about some cards that we like, that we identified from both PWCC that ends tomorrow and MC that ends Monday. And you picked some, I picked some. I want to just go through and hear why we like certain cards. What is it about cards that we like? And that's, it's actually really therapeutic to do this because it'll either help me decide not to buy some cards or maybe push me towards buying a card. Decoy does say, Joe, variety is the spice of life. I have everything from hockey to Disney to sci-fi authors. As long as it's fun, it's worthwhile. It's a good attitude right there.
Yeah.
Kendolph says, recently switched to a top 10 style of collecting, keeping 10 cards in my core PC of specific players, buy, sell outside the PC to help upgrade the top 10. That's pretty, I think that's a cool approach, Kendolph. My only issue is 10 cards is nothing. Like I had a question in the last episode. Someone asked me, what's my favorite card in my collection? I just skipped by it because I can't answer that. I couldn't tell you my top 10, even my top 100. It's like, I have way more than just that. I just can't do that. So 10 doesn't seem like enough for me, but still, whatever works for you, I'm all for it. Hits and Chicks says tag is number one. Good night, boys. Let's see your picks. Panini is growing it all at hockey. Not kidding. Makes sense. Nothing else to go after. Yeah, I don't see that happening. I sure as heck hope it doesn't happen, because I much prefer Upper Deck cards to Panini cards personally. Way prefer them, actually. Mark says the value, team, player, and set you're working on. If you're talking about me, Mark, and the one where I said I'm missing one card, it's from 2013. It's a Panini card, actually. 2013-14 National Treasures Hockey. It's the patch parallel Jonas Hiller 1/1 that I need, where every card was numbered to the player's jersey. And to me, this is the nicest set Panini ever put out in hockey. And I collected it because I loved it. Okay. So here, let's let me do this screen share quick, Joe. And what I've done, so we'll start with PWCC. We've got this many cards. These are yours and mine. I kind of just mixed them up. So cards that I liked. Okay, this was one of yours. I think was this yours?
Yeah.
Yeah, this was yours. So Christy Mathewson, T206, Piedmont 150 back. It's a PSA 2.5 with a superior eye appeal. Really nice. I love the sunset in the background, the yellow to red. I love that. But why did you select this card as one of your sort of favorites?
Yeah. So a few things. One, I mean, it's interesting. Mark was just mentioning, he reminded me that one of the things that I think about when I'm thinking about a significant card is, the player, right? Like, you can talk about the set, you can talk about the brand or whatever, but the player probably is the biggest lever of sort of holding value. And Christy Mathewson was, I believe, one of the first 5 inaugural intros into the Hall of Fame. So he's there, like, he is established in the hierarchy of baseball forever. And on top of that, T206, I didn't always like the portrait cards, but over time I came to prefer them to the action shots. Something about the formality, something about the kind of hearkening back historically to somebody posing for a photograph, which, at one point wasn't everybody taking their selfies, but, somebody actually really, it was a big deal to get a photograph taken. You mentioned the sunset, the blending of color, I think, is fantastic. And then we get to the specific card itself. That is right in my wheelhouse of where I see the porridge as just right. A 2.5 with superior eye appeal, which, of course, we would note its superior eye appeal in any case, but it's an added bonus, I think, to have that sticker attached to it. Top 5%. I don't know how many 2.5s they could realistically say. Have they seen 100 2.5s to know that this would be one of the 5 best? I doubt it, but I agree that the card deserves a distinction with regards to eye appeal. And for the centering, for the registration, it's probably the case that if you saw that in a 3.5, you wouldn't bat an eyelash. There may indeed be something technically going on with the card that we just can't quite see. But to me, it presents closer to a 4. So to me, that is just great value. And I'm not here, trying to, I own one of these in, I believe, a 1.5 that does, looks close to that, but I think has some surface damage on the back, maybe some paper loss or something. This one doesn't seem to have that. So this would be a wonderful addition. I doubt I'll be going for it, but whoever gets that card is going to be stoked.
So, okay, the back is beautiful. We can see there. The back looks to be pretty much, unbothered. Really, it's a beautiful intact reverse. The front, though, I think the problem with this card is this little dot right here above the head. That has to be, because this card is a lot nicer than the technical, then what is it? Sorry, it's a 2.5, right? Yeah, it's a lot nicer, I think, than a 2.5. This to me has to be the biggest problem.
You
And
think that's
unless
paper
there's a
gloss, though?
crease or a wrinkle that we can't see,
Yeah.
that might be the biggest problem.
But look at that. Look at that, how that orange yellow blend goes. I just, that to me is just
Beautiful.
exceptional. You know, you talk about vintage, and you even get a little bit of his eye color in there.
Yeah.
So
Very
anyway,
nice.
we go on all night about this one, but that's
Yeah.
a beautiful card.
Lots. So I want to get through a few cards here, so we'll try and go a bit quicker. But yeah, Triple V says great price for that example. Nice one, Joe. Robert Scott Mathewson is stunning. Nice. Christie says Mark Santucci. And so, guys, while we're looking at some cards from PWCC, I kind of have to put I have an affiliate link with PWCC, where if you go to that site through my link, I'll get a small commission. Small, trust me. But more importantly, they're going to see that I'm bringing them some value, which I like, because I do shows for PWC. So I'm going to throw it in there right now and just ask if you are going to bid on any cards this week or next week, whatever, please use the link. I greatly appreciate it. Okay, what's next? This is one that I love. I have, as I mentioned earlier, I have a PSA 6 in this card, but this is a very nice 4 to me. PWCC agrees, gives it the above average eye appeal. It's a $12,000. The back has some staining, which, I love the staining. How can let's see, where's open? There it is. Where'd that go? Right here? Yeah. Let's look at the back here. See these stains? I love that. I want, if there was none of that, I just wouldn't feel as good about the card.
Mm-hmm.
I like that about it. The other thing about this card is the centering. It's really nice, but it's really nice side to side, almost perfect. Top to bottom, it's sitting low. This, to me, guys, is an amazing 4. Unbelievable, actually. The color is great. The registration is great. I really like it. It's one that I would considering upgrading by downgrading. Sell my 6, buy this 4, pocket the difference. Like, that's something I would actually consider doing. I do love my 6. I'm attached to it. But if I were to upgrade by downgrading, this is a great, this card presents a great opportunity for me to do that. Another one I brought up was the Nathan McKinnon high gloss Young Guns from 2013. This guy's having a stunning, stellar, a career season for the Avalanche. He's already got Stanley Cups, and it's the high gloss. So Young Guns are a dime a dozen. I don't collect Young Guns. I don't own a single Young Gun. I let hockey's my number one sport. I don't own a single Young Gun. But the high gloss separates out from all the others. And this is a BGS 9.5. McKinnon is probably the second best player in the world behind Connor McDavid, and some might argue he's the best player in the world at this time. So this is a great card. And if I was in the position to spend 10 grand on a card, this is one that I might take a flyer on. And now this wouldn't be if I were to buy this, it wouldn't be something I would collect forever. I just don't collect cards like this forever. I would probably buy it as an investment to sell it down the road, and hopefully be able to make some money on it. But I'm not buying it. I just think it's a great card. Next up, Bill Russell, 2019 Flawless Legendary Scripts Platinum. It's a 1 of 1. This is one of your selections you told me you want to talk about, Joe.
Yes.
What is it that you like about this card?
So I've really been falling in love with the platinum coloring on the Flawless. And for the most part, those are 1 of 1s. I think occasionally you find them in a 10 as well, or in some other variation parallel. But in this instance, and it's funny, it's kind of been dovetailing with all the controversy around grading, where I've been just appreciating the card being sealed in a flawless holder. That mag, which to me, it's nice that PWCC explores the condition through the holder, through the MBA program. You can see that they do detect some issues with some of the corners. In those lower slides, you see the little yellowing there, but I don't even care about that, because I'm keeping the darn thing in the holder. That's how it came out of the Flawless brand. And to me, that actually lines up nicely with how I would like to keep it. Kind of simple, It's provenance, just, direct from the box. Then we get to the player. I think you've seen me searching for Russells at shows, Jeremy, and it's been one of those kind of long adventures. I finally did get a Bill Russell, but I ended up not liking the autograph as much. I liked the blue and the clarity. I like how the blue matches up with the platinum. I like the simplicity. I like the full body pose that Russell is in. I'm not a Celtics fan, so I don't need a whole bunch of green. What I need is a card that looks aesthetically pleasing and an autograph that is bang on. So that just checks a lot of boxes for me. I don't think it's going to go for an arm and a leg, and I'm, probably shilling against myself here because this might be a card that I try and get into. I have no idea what it'll go for, but a 1/1 on card auto, Bill Russell. How can you argue with that?
Yeah, nice card. One of my bucket list cards, I guess we can call it, the 53 Topps Willie Mays. I just love everything about this. I love the image of this card. I've loved it for a long time now. So what a beauty. And it looks really good for a 6. I looked at it closer. The thing about this card with all 53 Topps is you really got to look at the border down here. And I mean, look at this border. It's really good.
Yeah.
Like the corner's got a bit of a ding, a little bit of, but that's nothing. Like the edges are amazing on the black. The corner has the issue, but it's minor, really. This card, the color, the registration looks good. Yeah, it's off center, side to side, but I mean, what can you really? Like, I don't want anything much better than this. I couldn't afford it anyway. I just think this is a gorgeous card. To me, it's the best image on any vintage card for me. I just love it. So I love it, and that's why I was looking at it. Yeah,
I was going to ask you. I mean, I know that of the major graders, SGC isn't your favorite, but I would say in this particular case, this would be one of those ones where I think a particular card might benefit from a particular holder, and I think because of that, that black border, area down low, that it lines up, that card frames that card nicely with the SGC slab. But I'm sure you're looking at the card more than anything.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at the card. I don't. SGC holder isn't my favorite among holders. The company, it doesn't fall in. I don't have the same opinion of the company. I like the company. I just don't like their holders as much as I like the I don't like the size of their holder, and I don't like the black inlay. Redesign this holder, and I think if they redesign their holder, I think they would. They don't have to compete with PSA anymore, but I think that would give them a bit of a nudge in the right direction. Some people love it though, so there's also that. Dan says that Jackie would be my upgrade. Yeah, it would be. You're right, Dan. You're right. Mark says if I'm going to have a 4, I need hammered corners, not stains or creases. Yeah, I'm the opposite. I'll take the rounded corners with the stains, without the stains or creases. But I don't mind stains on the back. I don't mind stains on the back, even on the front of of those cards in the 30s and 40s. I don't mind stains on the front either, really. I'm not looking for them specifically, but if they're there, that doesn't bother me. Dan says, Mark, stains on the back are pretty painless. That's how I feel as well. Dan says that Mays has a long way to go at that price. It's not ending anywhere near 5K. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Mark says, not a Celtics fan, Joe, but a nice Bill Russell. And Dan says, Joe is absolutely right. That tux is perfect on the 53 Mays. Yeah, the card, it does look nice. It does look nice. I'm not a huge fan of the black inlay, as I mentioned. I love this card. Listen, this is early essential credentials. This card has a lot going for it with the sparkly border, the acetate inlay with the clouds in the background, the serial number on the back, nice picture of Jerry Rice, die cut cardboard with acetate. This is a complex card. It's a very important Jerry Rice insert from the 90s. And it's a pop 5, 6 graded higher, $3,000. I think it's just such a great card, and it's one that I do have I have some nice Jerry Rice cards, and I'd love to add this one. If a couple of years ago I snapped this thing up like it's nothing, Today, I don't. I just don't. But I wanted to just share my love for this card. Joe, this was one of your picks, 54 Tops Jackie PSA 3 with exceptional eye appeal. This is funny. I believe this was my card.
Huh.
Not anymore. I believe this was, I'm not 100% certain, but that serial number even looks a little bit familiar. I think this was my card that I sold on PWCC last year. And I think someone is selling. I'm going to try and find a picture and see if that was my card. But in the meantime, Joe, this is your pick for tonight. Tell us what you like about. Actually, I think I can. No, this wasn't mine. This was not mine. Mine had. Yes, this is not mine. Mine had paper loss in this area here. So this is not my card. Okay, I'm not going to go look for it. I just realized. But Joe, what was it about this one that you liked?
Yeah, I'm a sucker for centering on those 54s. They've got very narrow borders. The top is not immediately understandable where the border should be because it's essentially runs right off to the top. You see the errands a lot with centering issues. I obviously would I rather have a 49 leaf Jackie? Yes. But what I like about this is kind of the value play in the range that I would anticipate it closes at, which who knows, two people could go after it. Could go way up. It's going to definitely go up higher than it is now, but I just, to me, the sort of the red and the yellow and the blue, 54s can also have surface issues, and this does have some surface issues on Jackie's face. They're not egregious. They don't ruin the card for me, but just having a card that is that well centered and doesn't seem to have anything too crazy happening. I think obviously PWCC blessed it with a sticker, but it's in that wheelhouse for me where it's something kind of affordable. I've owned this card before, but I don't know. I must have traded it along the way. It is missing in my Jackie oeuvre. And so it would be a nice pickup in this grade.
It's a nice card. Yeah, definitely a nice one. And, PWCC has kind of given us their opinion that it's strong for the grade, which kind of removes the opportunity to buy it at a good price relative to other threes. You're going to pay a premium because PSA has told us that, or PWCC has told us that. But despite that, hopefully the buyer pays less for this than they would for, say, a 4 or a 5, especially a 5. And then this card presents like a 5. So you're getting a pretty good deal on that one. I brought this. This is one of my selections. I'm going to be doing my hockey PWCC show tomorrow night. We'll talk about this then. But this is Ovechkin's Upper Deck Ice Premier Auto Patch, and these cards are out of 10 every year, and they've kind of lost a bit of their luster in the hobby. And I think they're great, and I think they're better than Upper Deck RPAs because they're out of 10. Upper Deck RPAs or Cup RPAs are out of 99. This is out of 10. I just love this card. Nice autograph on card. Nice patch. Well, the patch isn't great, actually, but the card is nice. Full body shot, acetate layer on top. BGS 9.5. This is a great card. A great card. I love it. Another one. Rookie year, the Cup signature patch out of 75 with a nice 3-color patch. This is a rookie year Cup RPA. Alex Ovechkin auto patch. Just another special card. There's some nice Ovechkins in the PWCC weekly tomorrow. There's also some nice Ovechkins in the MC Mondays, which we'll see. Actually, let's do that. Let's run from this. Let's go look at some of the MC cards. So the first one I looked at from MC was this 84 Donruss Mattingly. It's a card that I know. I used to have one of these. It's a card that was victim of what I went through, and I don't own it anymore. But it's a card that, listen, I sold my 10, got whatever market value was for it at the time, and I'm going to go find, if and when I decide to replace it, Joe, I'm going to go buy a 9. I'm going to pay 10% of the price. Yep. I'm going to save 90% of my money, and I'm still going to have a Don Mattingly 84 Donruss, which is an iconic card in my collection. This is a 10, and not all 10s are the same as we know, but the centering on this one, I wouldn't say it's bang on 50-50, but it's very, very nice. Very nice card. And to me, it is an iconic card. It is. This was all the rage. If you remember, you'd remember, Joe.
Yeah.
This was the card back in the day. And he went on to an illustrious career. Still a great card. I love the Mattingly 84 Donruss. Maybe I'll even get an 8. Maybe I'll just get a nice 8. Like, it's not a card. Any card where there's thousands and thousands of them out there and in the population, I don't care about the grade so much anymore. I'm happy. I don't care about on a lot of cards, I don't really care about the grade. I would happily add, let's say a nice 9, maybe even an exceptional 8. What else? Oh, okay. This is funny. This is one that we both had picked, actually. I think so. Where we both picked it, I was going to let you talk about it. But the one thing about Mark McGuire is when I'm collecting McGuire, I remember him most as an Oakland Athletic, more so than a St. Louis Cardinal. And so, while I love this card, I prefer having him in an Oakland uniform, but it's essential credentials. These are among my favorite cards ever. And this is a great looking card, but you selected it. Tell us what you thought. And it's a PSA 7, which this is one of those cards where, yeah, I'm okay with that. There's only 90 made, but what are your thoughts on this card?
Yeah. So, I mean, I grew up in Oakland and Berkeley. So, Bash Brothers, that's right in my wheelhouse of being a young person, appreciating baseball, appreciating, what McGuire did subsequent, obviously, to his leaving the A's. The steroid allegations came, and that's a whole chapter of baseball that I think over time people will just sort of have to integrate into the larger narrative of baseball. But what this card, I love these credential cards, and I don't own a single high-end one at all. So this would not only sort of check the box of, a player that I grew up admiring when he was on the A's pre-steroid, but also just a type of card that I think is just a fantastic example of sports cards being kind of taken to the next level in terms of their creativity, even the sort of technical aspects of the production of the card, to me, are just mind-boggling. I mean, these colors and the mixtures of colors. So that would be. I think there's moments in our collecting where we want to own a type of card, and a high-end, EX credentials, future credentials card is one of those, and this would fill a big gap in my collection.
Yeah, it's a cool card. While I agree that we often want to own a type of card, I will never buy a card just to own the card without wanting that player as well. I will never put the card ahead of the player. I just not willing to do that. Nothing's come out yet. Maybe that's an innovation that could come. Innovate a card that would cause people to look past the player and just want the card itself. I selected the Andy Pettitte 98 Flair Showcase Road 2 Masterpiece 1 of 1, simply because it's a 1 of 1 Pettitte.
Yeah,
this is, a lot of people love these row 1s, row 2s. I actually don't like the looks of these cards. Personally, I don't love the looks of them, but I do like the purple foil. I like the 1 of 1 stamp on the back where it actually says here, the only 1 of 1 masterpiece. Now, I don't like it enough to go buy one of a player I don't care about, and I have owned these cards before. I don't love the aesthetic of them, but that's just me. People love these cards. These are extremely popular in the hobby, and it's an Andy Pettitte 101. I mean, Andy Pettitte's, he's not the most popular, the most collected Yankee of all time, but gosh, he had a great career and was a great player for a long time there. So I thought that was worth looking at. And then this Kobe, it speaks to, we were talking about credentials and how awesome credentials are. Well, this is 06 credentials. This is a design I really like a lot. They did it in hockey in 2008 or 9, I believe, in Fleer EX. This one does look to be, what's the centering grade at? A 9.5. I don't know that makes sense to me, but I don't know how they center these cards. It's a BGS 8.5 overall. Just a great shot. Again, you got like foil cardboard die cut on top of colored acetate with hollow foil stamping. Like, talk about the technology. Serially numbered right down there, 64, $830 right now. Again, credentials, Joe, credentials. Yep. All right, continuing on. Let's go. We've got a lot of cards to get through. 1950 Jackie. Did you pick this one or did I?
You did.
I did. SGC3 again. I don't care so much about the grade. As I'm looking at the card, it almost looks like it's just got tilt. I was going to say diamond cut. I think it's a square, but it's got some tilt. You can see it looks to have some clockwise tilt a little bit. The border down the bottom right is narrower than the border on the left. I just love this full body shot Jackie 1950 Bowman card, the SGC3. It is what it is. You got to look at the card, but MC Mondays, their auction ends. This is number 33. It ends on Monday, and I'll be doing a live show covering these cards as we go through them with Michael Hathaway from MC. And I think there's 90 cards. It's going to be a marathon on Monday, but I'm up for it. We're going to have fun. So guys, join us then. But, I don't get time on that show to talk about how I like these cards so much. So that's why I wanted to go over some of them tonight. Sorry, did you have any comment on that?
No, not particularly. No.
Comments from the chat quickly. Oh, look at that. Shohei appears on the screen, but very quickly. Rob Scott says, make the SGC holder uniform in size with PSAs. Good idea. Good idea for sure. Dan paid $550 for his 54 Jackie in a 3, which, it depends on how that looks. That might have been too much. That might have been right on. Might have been not enough. Just depends on how the card looks, I guess. Mark says that's a top 10 card of the 80s. Matt, that's a number 1 card of the 80s for Mattingly. That's his key card right there for his rookie. Dan says, who is spending $800 plus on Mark McGuire? There's people that are collecting that set, Dan. The Essential Credentials has set collectors, very high profile set collectors. They're the ones buying that card. They'll buy any player. They just want the set a lot of the time. Mark says, from the A's, I admire Vita Blue, Raleigh Fingers, Jim Hunter, and Mr. October. Yeah, Reggie, for sure. Dan says, I would spend $800 on that Kobe, a complete 100 times faster than the same amount on Mark McGuire. Fair enough, Dan. Says it's a generous 3 on that 50 Jackie. Maybe it was. Sorry, I already closed that window. I can't get back to it. But this is interesting to me, Joe. I picked this one, right?
No, I did.
You did? Okay, sorry. Because I'm interested in it too.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, because number one, I just want to say you're pairing 2 of the best pitchers of all time. I love Nolan Ryan. First of all, his documentary was amazing. This is a great looking card. But tell us why you selected it as one to focus on tonight.
I'd love to. So back in roughly 1979, dating myself here, I purchased a complete 1973 top set out of an advertisement in Sports Collectors Digest. And recently I've been going, I got all the major cards graded, but recently I've been kind of going through them and seeing what else I can find with, I'm not sure if there's a trick.
Your green screen. Yeah, it's not really working.
Okay.
Hold them in front of you. You got to hold them in front of your head or in front of your shirt.
How's that?
Nah, don't bother.
Okay. Well, the funny thing is, if this, maybe you could see this is actually the Ryan Leaders card. It's got Steve Carlton on it. And so this is the sort of antecedent for what Topps was doing with that particular card. You can see the kind of design and the whole way the card is structured. So it's a 73 league leaders. In this case, this was strikeout leaders, appropriate for Nolan Ryan. So this card caught my eye because I've been steeped in looking at 73 cards for the last 2 or 3 weeks, apropos of us kind of returning to our actual cards. On top of that, I love Nolan Ryan. I think he's, one of the most important modern baseball players. And in this moment where Ohtani is under some scrutiny, I'm not above the idea that there could be a potential, a potential lessening of interest or some caution around that. And I'm willing, there's all forms of gambling in the sports card world, right? I mean, the most extreme is, of course, busting wax, but I'm open to the idea that this Ohtani situation doesn't look great, but at the same time, I think he's probably going to come out of this okay. And he's a hell of a baseball player, and historical. And I love the idea. I mean, it's we could argue about whether you like stenciled stamps or handwritten stamps, but the fact that this is limited to 25, and anytime I think you have two historically important players of any sport on a card, they both touch that card. These are on card autographs. I just think that's a fantastic opportunity, and you just never know if they'll ever be signing a same card again. So it for all those reasons,
it's a great looking. I think it's a beautiful card. I love the autos; they look great. The hand numbering, I'm not usually a fan of hand numbering. It looks really nice. Love the tie into 73, and now might be a very short window of time to buy Ohtani's at a discount, because there will be people who are scared about what's going to happen. So, yeah, good pick for sure. Obviously, this one's my pick. Dual scripted sticks of Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux. Two of the top, I don't know, 4 all-time best hockey players right there on one card. Really doesn't get better than that. The modern day equivalent would be Crosby and Ovechkin. I think that would be Crosby and McDavid, I think, would be the modern day equivalent of this card. Again, 2 Canadians on each card, which, the hockey hobby really likes. But this is a nice looking card. It's also out of 5. Scripted sticks, these dual scripted sticks and dual scripted swatches. At the early cup, they were out of 5. Then they started making them out of 15, I think. Now they're back to 5. Just depends on the players, of course, and the year. But really, this is a nice card. I think it's nice. Stick cards, they don't always work well with autos. And you can see on this one, the Lemieux auto, it's a little difficult to see it, but you can see it. Sometimes you can't see them at all. This is just a fantastic, and it's an all-star card. Both players wearing all-star jerseys, which I like. I think that's fun. It says all-star team right here on both of them. I don't know what this sells for. I could see it doing about $2,500 when it ends on Monday on MC Mondays, but I'm going to be covering this one live, guys. So join me then. Another Gretzky. Look at the auto on this. That's some blue paint pen. That autograph is like amazing. Unbelievable. What an autograph. Beautiful stick piece, numbered out of 5. It's called Stick and Move. It's from the cup, gold foil. Really nice card there as well. It's at $1,000. I don't know what this sells for. I don't know if it hits 2. Maybe it does. We'll find out on Monday. I look forward to seeing it, but an amazing Gretzky card right there. Joe, this was your pick, this Messi. We have a lot of cards still, and time is of the essence, so try and tighten it up a bit. But speak to this Messi that you selected to look at tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a sticker, but just the ink, the quality of the ink, the way, the angle. A lot of times, Messi's autographs are kind of messy, and both the big and the small Leos are nicely squared and symmetrical. And I don't know a whole lot about soccer, but I understand that Barca, is a nice uniform, a nice kit to have him in. So that's what attracts me. And, he's a GOAT. He's down there in Miami. He's doing good things. So the World Cup's coming to North America in 26. So a lot of reasons to be thinking about Messi right now.
And it's out of 10. Not a lot of copies. It's got a beautiful autograph. It is a sticker, but I don't know that I'm sure I've seen on-card Messi autos in some higher-end products. But
Very
nice. Yeah, nice card. The auto is beautiful right there, and you don't have a lot of options for on card with him anyway. So I think a lot of soccer collectors are just kind of used to that, and they're okay with it. So great looking card there. So this is one we both picked.
Okay.
Yeah, we both picked it. But it's simply, I believe is this the first or the second year of a Jordan jersey card? And I think first.
It's the first of a Bulls uniform. I think the previous year they had an all-star jersey taken. So this is the first that they extracted from an actual Chicago Bulls.
Okay. And I have to ask that question every time because I just can't get it straight in my head. But really cool. I like these early Upper Deck jersey cards. That showcase, as I mentioned in the last show, is filled with the first 2 years of Upper Deck jersey cards, like mostly one colors. I just love them. This falls right in there. but this is the $5,800. This is a big card. People love this card. I know my Jordan collector friends love this card. I love this card. I'd love to add it. Outside of what we've already talked about, well, first of all, I got to say, Joe, the full body shot, I love it. The jump shot, the head shot up there, he's about to shoot a free throw. And then the jersey swatch itself, I even like the mesh design that we're seeing in the background on this half of the card. That's what the early hockey cards look like. They had that as well. I love it, Joe. Like if I was, I wish I could buy this card. What do you love about it?
Well, I mean, it just speaks to that time period, of Upper Deck. And at the time, I mean, in some ways it looks a little dated now, but it was.
I love that about it, though.
Yeah, it was incredibly advanced at that time. So it's sort of like nouveau and retro at the same time. And even though it's, we might consider it a napkin, I mean, by today's standards, this is from a actual piece of Jordan playing in an NBA game. That's good enough for me. And as you probably know, there is a numbered to 23 patch auto version of this card that will run you anywhere in the last few years of $50K to $100K. So, this is the lesser version of that. The only difference being that it's not autographed. Well, I don't think either you or I are going to be owning the patch auto version in this lifetime. So this would be a really nice, way to fill that spot without going all the way in and breaking the bank and, changing your lifestyle.
Yeah says that's a nice card. I think they're talking about this one, but I'm not certain. Yankees fan, the Jordan has something special. I agree, Yankees fan. It really does. Like this card to me is, it signifies so much more than just what it is. It signifies a time in the hobby when they were going to this type of card. And if it's the first Jordan Bulls jersey card, like this is huge to me. This is a huge, this is a huge card. I love it. Oh,
yeah. It would be like if you were looking at a manual of like the progression of, sports cards, this would be a critical moment in the evolution.
This might be becoming a bucket list card of mine. That's how much, because I love the early jerseys as evidenced right there. And maybe I'll start going for the Griffey and the Jerry Rice and some of the others.
And since this has been a theme a little bit tonight, it's a 7, which is just fine with me.
I'm barely looking at the gray. Don't even care. As long as the thing is increased up the middle or has a folded corner.
That's 7, and that's perfectly fine with me. In fact, I mean, I'm not a huge PSA fanboy, but the red on red looks pretty good too.
Looks nice. Yeah. Jake says that Jordan screams late 90s. It sure does, Jake's toe. What do we got next? Vince Carter.
I almost picked that. Okay, that's you. But I almost picked that. Yeah.
Nice. Listen, Vince Carter, for the Raptors, he was the biggest star we'd ever seen with the Raptors. And man, he took all of Canada by storm. Now, he's not in. I don't think this is a Raptors card. No, it's not,
Jersey?
Is it?
Is it New Jersey?
Yeah, I think so.
The Nets. Yeah, that's the Nets.
Yeah, it does this. Oh, yeah, right there. Okay. Yeah. So I just think, listen, it's limited, it's exquisite limited logos. Anytime one of these cards shows up, it's pretty cool. Vince Carter, nice 4-color patch, nice auto. These cards are just a lot of fun. Looks like I don't know if that's it looks like an older Beckett slab with the subgrades on the back, which I think is pretty cool. 10 centering, 9 edges. I just have a thing for limited logos. Anytime you've got an insert set that crosses from like hockey to basketball or whatever, it's gonna make me like it more. And Vince Carter, if this was a Raptors card, I would want this really badly. I don't want it personally because I only want him in Raptors, but it's still Vince Carter. And there's, he doesn't have a ton of cards out there that I've seen that satisfy those Raptor needs. But in which case, if I were a Vince Carter collector and I needed an auto patch from Exquisite, maybe I would grab this one. It's just cool. What's next? Dual booklet, Gretzky and McDavid on card autos. I'm not a booklet guy, but this is look at this thing. I mean, great images of both of them, beautiful autos of both of them. If you like booklets or you're not against booklets, this is a great booklet card. Like, it doesn't get any simpler than this. Now, for me, you know, these are beautiful autos. I'm not a huge auto collector. I like patches more than autos, but I understand that I'm in the minority, so I'm going to be able to appreciate a nice autoed card. And this is beautiful. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a booklet guy either, but there's an aesthetic there of them kind of turned towards each other, kind of looking at each other. And as you've mentioned, I mean, their GOAT status kind of maybe. I mean, obviously, I think we all give the nod to Gretzky, but there's some mirroring. Yeah, right. So there's some mirroring going on there, and
for sure,
the aesthetics of the card kind of speak to that with the way they've created the open area for the autographs, but not in more in a kind of mystical way almost.
And they're both wearing the C. They're both wearing the captain C for the Oilers. Really cool card. I just love this card, Joe. Listen, I don't own any like it, but I look at it, I'm like, this is a pretty card.
This would be different. This would be different for you, Jared. That's funny. I looked at that one too, but tell me why you picked it.
Because the gold looks so shiny. Look at the light coming off it in this area here. The light coming off it. Like, this is a card that when you get it, you sit there and you look at it for an hour and you just move it around. You know, you get up you go to dinner in the kitchen, you bring it with you, you know, you kind of look at it every so often without getting busted by your family. You go to bed, maybe you put it on your bedside table, you look. Like, this is a card that you love to look at. It's got it's got the ticket aesthetic, which is, you know, the Contenders ticket aesthetic, which has become pretty classic. It's out of 10. It's LeBron James. I don't know. It's just a nice looking card. Like, I've seen a lot of gold cards in the hobby. This one stands out to me. So I love it. You almost looked at it too, huh? Yeah.
I did look at it. In what was kind of interesting to me about it too was, you know, as a Warriors fan, it's just after the season that he came back from the 3-1 lead, which I believe is the only time in professional sports of a 7-game series that anyone's ever come back from a 3-1 lead. So it's kind of got a little historical significance just in that. I'm not sure, it might be his last Cavaliers year too. I'm not sure about that, but yeah, gold, anything gold in the Panini line is going to look good. And, you know, PSA 10, that even, you know, puts it into even higher air. So good choice.
Thank you. All right, let's close that one down. Nikola Jokic Crown Royal blue die cut rookie auto, numbered 14 of 15, 2015. It's from, and you selected this one.
Yeah.
Tell us why.
Well, I've been on a little bit of a Jokic spree, not in any great magnitude of expenditure, but I am accepting the fact that he is currently the best basketball player on planet Earth. I have also been appreciating Crown Royale. I think you might have been there at the Burbank show. I picked up a Giannis 1-of-1 platinum crystal ice, not an autograph, but still, I kind of like that design. This happens to be a color match with sort of the Nuggets blue. I guess it's a little bit more of a hard blue versus a powder blue, but with the pen. And I'm not a Jokic autograph expert, but that is a nice open and flowing autograph from what I understand. And it's not, it's not symmetrical, which in some instances might bother me, but I actually, in this instance, really like kind of how he placed the autograph and the way that the blue pen lines up with the blue die cut. It's not great. It's not graded, obviously, and I did see some issues with the card, but that doesn't really bother me. I'm in it for the auto and just the aesthetics of the card.
I'm with you. The asymmetrical placement of the auto actually works for me because his legs are down over here, so it's symmetry with the legs. Even, he didn't touch the O down here. He does come to the edge here, but I don't think he's going off the card. it's hard to really appreciate this blue foil in this image, right? Without looking at it under light. I think this card is probably a lot nicer than this image really makes it look, because the blue is kind of dark. I think this is probably a beautiful card in hand. So,
and I don't know, we'd have to maybe defer to our friend Chris McGill on this, but I don't know how many auto cards he has as a rookie cards.
yeah.
So that's a plus too.
Good choice. Fun choice. Brett Favre, again, kind of, I just love these 97 EX 2000 essential credentials, numbered out of 100 on the back right there. And pair this with the Jerry Rice from earlier that we were looking at. And wow, what a pair that would be. These are centering on these. I've noticed, they're not always perfect. It's really easy to gauge the centering on these with your eyes just by the width of the borders on either side of this acetate window. But, Brett Favre, he was so good for so long, and he just doesn't come up in conversation as much as he should, I feel like, in the hobby. But again, I have no control over football collectors or Brett Favre fans. But I mean, Green Bay Packers have a cult-like following. The community owns the team. How are they not collecting his cards? Maybe they are. They just don't want to spend the money. I don't know, but I love the card for what it is. I just love it. And if I could just spend money like it didn't matter, I'd be all over a card like this for sure. Pair it up with the Jerry Rice. Roberto Alomar. I know he's had some issues, but this is the championship PMG out of 50. This is 50 of 50. And it's a BGS 8.5, $860 right now. Now, I loved Roberto Alomar back in the early 90s, winning back-to-back World Series with the Jays. That was the highlight. That was the pinnacle of me as a baseball fan. I mean, those World Series wins were huge in my world, in my life, with my friends and everybody. We were all over the Blue Jays. We're bandwagon Jays fans here, right? If they're in the playoffs, the whole country gets involved. If they're not in the playoffs, we can't name a player on the team. Well, some of us. We all know Vladdy and some of these other guys, Biggio and such. But Roberto Alomar was somebody that we all loved, and then he kind of disappointed us later on a few years ago. But just a nice looking card. These champ PMGs are always gorgeous. Anything to add, Joe?
No, I mean, I admired Roberto Alomar too, as someone that aspired to play second base, among other infield positions, and he was I believe a Gold Glover. A consummate baseball player.
So this one I brought up, Joe, because this Barry Sanders 89 score rookie, this is an iconic card. This was the card of the year. This was a huge card. I remember, oh man, this and the Frank Thomas Leaf card. I remember back then, those are the two cards I wanted really badly. The Frank Thomas was like $80 to buy it at the card show, and the Barry Sanders was about the same. And that was a lot of money back in 1990, 90, 91. But This copy is a BGS 10.
Right.
And that's really why I brought it up, because BGS 10s are just rare overall. But this is a Pop 49. Now there's, thousands of these cards graded. I don't know how many altogether. But listen, this card, I looked at it, and it's the centering, I believe, to be pretty much perfect. Everything seems to be perfect about this particular copy. Now, it's going to be great for people that love that high graded card. Personally, I'd buy a BGS 9 with great centering or a PSA 9 with great centering, but that's me. People eat up. Still to this day, even despite what's going on with Beckett's brand, people love the BGS 10. It sticks out, right? It's just kind of it's set apart, and this is one of them, and it's going to go off in 2 days. So we'll see what happens with it. And then there's this card, Joe. The reason why you think this was your selection, because you're a Warriors guy and you're a huge Steph fan, but I selected this card, not you. And the reason I did is because of the grade.
Yep.
Here's an opportunity to get into a Steph Curry Topps Chrome Refractor rookie out of 500 for probably a lot less than you otherwise would, because it's a BGS 5.5.
Yep.
What's wrong with it? A lot. Corners are 5. Surface is 5.5 and edges are 7. Centering is good. There's only five. There's only 500 is a big number, but this is a huge. Like if this card, I believe in high grade has sold for over $150,000.
Right.
So if you're someone who just wants a copy of a card, this is still going to end for more than $4,400 in two days from now. But I mean, I love the Curry rookie. This card has grown on me over the years, even though as simple as it is, just the baby face picture of him. It's really grown on me. And it's just the opportunity to pick up the card for a fraction of what, you'd otherwise have to spend. So is that a card you'd consider picking up?
I almost selected it for this show, but yeah, I mean, it's a little out of my price range, and yet, like you said, it is exactly, it is within reach considering the card itself. And frankly, I mean, I'd have to look a little harder. The 5.5,
back is pretty bad. Look at the back top left corner there.
Sure, there's got to be something going on, but the fact that what's the centering grade on it? Because the
centering is good. Look at that bottom right corner there, right in this area here.
Yeah. I mean, you're gonna have to put up with some, but it is
some flaws. Yeah,
you get to own a pretty prime example of a rookie card that that is not a card that's going to bottom out anytime soon. I trust Steph Curry to handle himself well moving forward in the world, and he's still going. I mean, he's making history by the day with his 3-point record, and tremendous. I heard there was even something, maybe this would actually be his downfall, but there was even some talk about Steph running for president. So we'll see.
Great opportunity for somebody to get into it. That the back corner, if you can get past the back corners, that's certainly to me seems to be the weakness. Yeah. I mean, at least it's the back, right? At least it's the back. Well, that's going to be up 2 days from now on MC Mondays on eBay. And then Elvis Presley autograph. I mean, I just had to point this out. I mean, I don't collect Elvis Presley autographs, but this is from Razor, 2008, 101 Elvis auto. Wow. It looks like over on a Sheraton pack, and looks like a match cover from the Sheraton. Pretty cool, actually.
Like a matchbook, or
like a matchbook cover, I think so. With those two, that looks like the middle of it right there. Yeah, definitely. I definitely say it's a matchbook.
Okay.
And I like how they cut the window out. It looks amateur, but I do like that they cut it out. Like they could have done something with this, but I guess they couldn't do something with, like, it's just white, right? But anyway, it's an Elvis auto on a Sheraton matchbook. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yep.
Leave it to MC to find stuff like that. And then this is a crazy card here. This is the LaDainian Tomlinson 01 Bowman Chrome Gold Refractor Rookie out of 99 BGS 10 Pop 1. Like LaDainian Tomlinson, one of the best running back, top 10 running back of all time, and probably his best card in the best condition possible. This might be his best card. I don't know for sure. Might be his best card. Like, I see this card selling for closer to $5,000 than 1,630. I had no comp knowledge at all. I'm totally guessing on that, but just gut feel. What a great. Let's look at the back. Number 48 of 99. Like, the black border's tough on the front and the back. Gold refractor, just beautiful. Like, isn't this a great card? I think it's a great card. Eric Stefano, LT was a beast. Yes, he was. I don't know, Joe. You're from California, more north, but what do you think of this card? Like, am I out to like? To me, it's one of my favorite cards of the night.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I'm a Tomlinson fan per se, but I definitely appreciate his contributions. What I love about that card actually is when you turn it over, I just love that serial numbered, kind of that old school serial numbered. Yeah, that right there, like that's just, I don't know, that works for me. And early 2000s, like, you hit a banger if you got something like that.
Oh yeah, it's just an amazing card. So when I do my MC Monday show, which I'm doing this Monday, we're going to be covering all these MC cards that are ending. Like, I can't wait for this one.
And I mean, it's a pop one too, right? With the 10. So if you're an LT LaDainian, collector, I mean, this is, you kind of have This is a what do they call it? A flex card.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's a big card. It's a big card. All right, that was it for MC. Again, those cards ending on Monday. Let's kind of run through these, the rest of these. I had a lot of cards that I like in tomorrow's auction on PWCC. So as you can see, I picked a lot. Tiger Woods, SI for Kids, BGS 9.5. I own a PSA 9. I love this card. To me, this is his rookie card, his true rookie, or at least his most important rookie card, I guess. I love it. Oh, Eric Stefano, PC's old Chargers cards. Maybe, I don't know, if that's in your wheelhouse, good luck, Eric. Mark Santucci liked it as well. I love this. I love this card. I love the perforation. I love the, only one out of every 9 cards made for SI for Kids has the symmetrical perforation on every side. All other 8 cards come from an edge. Okay. So there's no perforations. Luckily, the Tiger was right in the middle.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, really cool card right there. All right. Next up. Oh, okay. Ovechkin. This is his Cup silver, base silver parallel. Doesn't have a jersey or a patch or an auto. Numbered at 25. Big card here. Big card. 11. It's not going to sell for $11.75 tomorrow night, but I'm looking forward to watching this on the PWCC show tomorrow night. It's a real sort of an under the radar card. I love it. Barry Sanders, select certified mirror gold out of 35. I love Barry Sanders. I collect some Barry Sanders cards. I don't love these certified select mirror gold. I just don't love the looks of them. Maybe they'll grow on me over time. But that said, I feel like despite me, it doesn't matter what I like. I still think it's a important Barry Sanders 90s card, numbered out of 35. And I can see people really liking the looks of this one as well. Okay. Mike Ditka. Joe, I no longer own the Fran Tarkenton rookie from this year too, but because, it went last year on me. But if I did, and I was still building like a nice Hall of Fame football collection, I'd be after the Mike Ditka card. And, the black borders are really tough on the 62s. Such a cool looking card. And Ditka is obviously, he's Mike Ditka. Yeah. So love it.
Coach and player and super vintage issue.
Yeah. And, all the SNL skits about, yeah, I just love that card as well. What's next? We talked about this in the last show. Bat barrel, Jose Canseco, 1 of 1 on card auto, beautiful bat barrel nameplate, 1 of 1, autographed bat nameplate. Does it say, is this actually? It says it's not from any specific game, event, or season. That tells us nothing. They may as well not put that sentence on the card. It's just the liability protection, but is it telling us that he didn't even use the bat? Or I'd expect that this is supposed to be, does it say anything? Game used bat nameplate. They're just protecting themselves on the back. I assume this is a Canseco game used bat. Makes sense. It says right on the front. I think it's just such a nice looking card. And MC Sports Cards, well, this is on PWCC, but MC had been through several of these what do they call them? Nameplate bat barrel type cards. Mm-hmm. I love them. You can only buy so many cards, guys. That applies to all of us. But really, I love that card. I think it's such a pretty card. Topps Sterling. Nice product. Yeah. Nice product. This is a card I've wanted for a long time. Early Walt Disney. I think it's the first Mickey Mouse Walt Disney card, maybe the only. Will Cigarettes. I've been watching this card for about 4 years now, Joe. I've never bought one, but this is a nice $650 right now. It's a card I could see myself owning one day. But are you familiar with it?
No, I haven't seen that one before, but obviously, it's hard to have a bigger name than Walt Disney. Yeah.
So look at this. Dan says, I'd pay more for a used Canseco hypodermic needle. Dan does not like Jose Canseco. I think that's become clear.
Or McGuire. Yeah.
Or McGuire. He doesn't like the Bash Brothers. That's right. Right.
Yep.
Nolan. Okay. This is a Nolan Ryan rookie in a PSA 2.5.
I almost picked
And
that one too.
oh, did you select this one too?
No, I almost did. Yeah,
Almost did.
I noticed that. I noticed that as a card I would be interested in.
Yeah. Now, I used to own a Nolan Ryan rookie. I had a PSA 7. I don't own a copy of it anymore. Now, it's got corner issues as they often do, but the edges are very nice. The centering is not perfect. It's to the right, but it's good. Image is good. A little faded over here, maybe. Not bad for a 2.5. Presents pretty well, I thought. That's why I looked at it. $400. I mean,
sometimes those 68s can have weird little fisheye print dot things going on, and so the critical space is good, and that's Ryan's face, his young baby Nolan Ryan face, and the way the registration looks on this would make me want to own this card.
Right on. Yeah, I think it's a good. It's actually good plus. I think it's a good Ryan rookie for where your budget is around what it's going to sell for versus going to the thousands for
we'll give it the Leighton Poirot sticker of approval, since it doesn't have
it definitely gets a sticker of approval. Beautiful Jordan auto here. Just had to pull this up. It's just a gorgeous card overall. Amazing autograph, well placed. Beautiful. 03 Ultimate Collection cards are always beautiful. Loved it. Let's roll through the rest of these though, Joe.
Go.
I pulled this one up just because it's a Michael Jordan base card PSA 10. I mean, that's probably the most expensive base, modern day base card that exists. I think. Maybe his other metal, the one that matches his PMG is because this is the champ PMG. Sorry, this is the champ card, or it's the parallel to the champ PMG, not to the regular PMG. And I say this might be the most valuable base cards. It might be his other metal card that is actually the non-champ one that is the most expensive, but just a cool Jordan card. But you're looking at $1,000 plus here, $1,200 now for the Jordan base card. This is one that I selected simply because I'm familiar with this card. This card has 3 levels. This is the Ultra Star Power. Then there's the Star Power Plus, and there's the Star Power Supreme. And they get cooler as they get rarer. This is the basic card, but it's still very nice. And it's a PSA 10, Jordan PSA 10 insert. I can't see this. I don't know what it's going to sell for. I'm excited to watch. I'm also not sure what the population is, but I'm actually not covering this on any show because I only cover the hockey on PWCC's weekly, but still a pretty cool card. One that I can see myself owning one day.
Yeah, and the Ultra Plus can have a lot of condition issues. The nice thing about that, I mean, that it might even deteriorate over time. Yeah. So I like that purple because I think it's the integrity is going to stay there with that card's look.
And the Supreme is acetate with all sorts of hollow foil that sometimes got missed. It didn't lay down. Yep. So that you're getting what you're getting. Bowman Tiffany Griffey. I love this card. I don't own a Griffey rookie 89 upper deck anymore. I had one my whole life. I don't own one anymore. And I don't know that I need to own it. Yes, it's iconic. And yes, it's the first upper deck card ever. But this speaks to me more. I love how it's big. I love the image of him on this card. I love Tiffany is just such a cool parallel, even though it's, kind of like from its own box set. It's just a cool opportunity. The 10s in this go for thousands. So grab a nice 9. I could see myself making a play at one of these one day.
Yeah.
Connor McDavid exquisite rookie card, no auto, no memorabilia, but it's numbered at a 97 BGS 95. Great card. I love it. Another nice Barry Sanders card here, Joe. We don't see a lot of exquisite Barry Sanders cards ever hit the market. This is a super jersey where he signed the jersey itself. And the autograph isn't, it's not great. It's not amazing, right? But it's there, it's tough to get it on a jersey, but he did. And it's an exquisite Barry Sanders card. I think it's beautiful out of 15.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I would not have noticed that that's an auto card, but Yeah, they squeeze it in as best they could. It's got the limited logos look to it as well, but I guess
totally.
it's a different, super jersey. Okay, so
limited logos. Yeah, limited logos come with patches. This is a jersey. I think that's a big part of it, as far as it not being limited logos, but really nice card. Color match all the way through.
yeah,
Really
matches
cool.
with the silver BGS label, fits right in there.
Fits right in.
Yeah.
Fits right in. Jake's Toe says Bowman Griffey is my least favorite due to the size. I get that. I get that for sure. Mark Santucci one time sold a Donruss Griffey rookie, probably one of his most common. And Hodges says it's a pretty cool Sanders autograph card. I think it is too, Hodges. I think it is too. That's why I brought it up tonight. Essential credentials. Frank Thomas. This is from 03. It's the future. It's numbered out of 85. Great card. Great card. Foil, cardboard, acetate, die cut, everything going on here. Serial numbered. Such a cool card. I mean, the colors are a little bit weird, this gold and copper look, but hold this in hand. It's hard to deny its beauty.
Yeah.
Love it. What's next? Oh, this was your selection. The 2021 Select Field Level Black Prism Tom Brady 101 PSA 8, Joe. Tell us why you selected this.
Yeah, I mean, one of one blacks have been growing on me. The prisms are a little pricey. I'm not a Patriots fan, so the way the color scheme works in the Buccaneers uniform, and I don't need it with a 1 of 1. I don't need a 9. I don't need a 10. An 8's just fine. So those were my check boxes.
For sure, for sure. Let's just close some of these windows. I'm getting tired. We're gonna have to wrap this up. Curly from the Three Stooges, one of the most important non-sport cards, vintage non-sport cards, is this card number 1 from the Three Stooges. The Curly card's the most important. PSA 7, $410 right now. I love the look on his face. I mean, I'm old enough, you're old enough, Joe, to remember the Three Stooges a little bit, not like it was my grandparents talked about it sort of thing. Right. I remember it that way, but yeah, Three Stooges. I had to bring this up to go with the Frank Thomas, the Carmelo Anthony rookie from This is a rookie card numbered out of 73. It's 72 of 73. I have the LeBron James from this set. It's number 10. It's out of 102. It's a great card. To me, it's an amazing. Yeah, I have that. This would be. I have no interest in Carmelo Anthony personally, but if I did, I would pair this with that and have two amazing cards. Maybe one day I will if I expand my interest. But I love Essential Credentials, as you guys can all tell. This full court trap, Michael Jordan. This card is this is a weird one. Why I like it? It just reminds me of the original podcast, the House of Jordans podcast that Chris McGill and his girlfriend Christina and his cousin used to do back in the day, like in 2018 and 19. I was listening to that. I'd go on my walks and listen. I remember one episode they talked about the full court trap. Ever since then, it's stuck in my mind. I've never owned one, but maybe one day I'll pick up a copy. I just think it's a cool green kind of sparkly foil on it. They're really nice in hand. Are you familiar with the set?
Not so much, but I definitely like it. And if it's within range price wise, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, if you didn't know any better, that could be like a five-figure card, right? Especially with the way, some of the 90s stuff goes. So beautiful stuff.
And then just love these 99 finest gold refractors with the die cut edges, like the rippled die cut edges. I think it's a nice Jeter. It's numbered on the back here out of 100. It's hard to see. I want to open that up. I want to see it better myself. Even what number? 86 of 100 it looks like right there. Like a nice thick gold serial number stamp. That's the best stamp going. This card is right. It's slick and shiny on both sides. Such a great looking card.
It's got that kind of stamp border thing going with the perforations, but not actually cut out of anything. But I am starting to wonder, Jeremy, are you a Yankee fan? Because we've had Pettit, we've had Mattingly, now we've got Jeter. I mean, this Yankee thing, I'm a little worried.
I'm not a Yankees fan, but I watched the pinnacle of me watching baseball. Well, I watched baseball throughout the 80s and into the early mid 90s. I probably stopped watching baseball in like 94, right at the A-Rod, right when A-Rod started being a thing, and Jeter. I wasn't as interested then, but it's hard to deny Derek Jeter, and who he was.
I was there for, do you remember the Jeter toss to home plate, getting Giambi out at the plate there? It was one of the most kind of iconic moments, and it was against my Oakland A's, and I was there. I still have the memory blazoned into my anyway.
All right, last card, Barry Bonds, pristine, Topps pristine refractor, PSA 10, numbered out of 99. Another one of these cards that I'm not really familiar with it. I don't know that I've ever seen this card before, but as I was looking, I'm like, that's a pretty card, and I'm familiar. I know the Topps pristine brand. I love the brand. I love the way the cards present. They just look like they have that nice smooth surface to them. I have some Topps pristine cards. I don't have this, or I've never had the baseball card, but it's just a nice looking card. I don't know. I just like it.
Again, I'm more and more over time attracted to rarity, and the PSA Pop 1 of 2 gets my attention. I've been really appreciating that. In the Card Ladder app, you can kind of hit the pop report and check into what's shout out Card Ladder. You can get the pop report really easily, and that's been helping me make a lot of decisions. And going in the direction of rarity is certainly, I think, a decent play.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's a nice looking card, and again, it's one of those cards. A few years ago, I would have snapped it up, because I was kind of buying things here and there, left, right, and center, and would have bought that one. So there we go. Some cards coming up for sale over the next couple of days on a couple of different platforms that, I would love to buy them all, but I'm probably not going to buy any of them.
Yeah.
Jake's Toe makes a comment here. I was doing some work at Jason Hansen's house the day Barry Sanders announced his retirement. Who's Jason Hansen?
I don't know.
He might be Jake Toe's good buddy, but I'm sure he must be somebody if he's mentioning him. So, Wow. Well, listen, we've been going an hour 52, Joe, and I'm coming up on 4 hours of streaming. So let's wrap it up. But thanks for coming on, man. It was fun to do an after hours episode. First one in like 6 months. We'll try and do more of these, and we'll again, it depends on my energy level and stuff like that. But this was fun. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you didn't mind going through those MC Mondays cards and PWCC cards. While it's double serving for me, it helps me, bring value to those companies that I do have partnerships with. But also, I just wanted to talk about cards that I like,
Yes.
and that I wish I could buy. And I thought Joe would be a good person to do it with, because we often talk about cards. He's talking about cards he wants to buy. I talk him into them, or I talk him out of them sometimes. It just sort of depends. Oh, Jeff says that he was the Lions kicker. Well, that's cool. That's cool. Appreciate that. Foul Fly Ball says good show. I do always appreciate those comments. Thank you, Jeremy. Mark Santucci, another 5 out of 5 stars. I think one time Mark gave me a 4 out of 5 on a show, and that's the best feedback, because I knew I had to improve something. But Mark, appreciate you always being here, buddy. Thank you so much. Yankees fan. There's the Yankees fan right there. Thanks, guys. Enjoyed the whole Saturday night. Well, that's so nice to hear. Thank you. Listen, I appreciate that. It's just that makes it worthwhile. One comment like that, Yankees fan, can make the whole night a win for me, and just feel like I did something good here. So thank you very much. And Joe, thank you for coming on again. As I'm grateful. Thank you, Robert Scott. Really great conversation all night. Thanks, man. See, that's it. That's all I need to hear. Thank you so much. Joe, you want to say anything before we end this?
I just liked how the double feature had some, intersectionality, I guess you could call it. And it was fun to go through and see what you picked, what I picked. And then more than a few, actually. I mean, some of them I didn't even mention to you that I also was either very close to picking, or in some instances we did pick the same card. So that's a case of great minds thinking alike, I guess.
And you know what? If you guys enjoyed this, I mean, maybe we do this again another Saturday before, I'm not doing MC Mondays shows every Monday. I'm doing their showcase, which is once a month. And then maybe I'll be doing like one other regular MC Mondays show. Or it doesn't even matter really. Maybe we do this. Maybe we do this late on Saturday nights, Joe, where we have a couple topics, and then we pick some cards from each of those platforms just to talk about. Again, it helps me bring value to those entities who I have partnerships with. You guys know that. I don't hide it. And but this isn't about me trying to sell you guys cards or you guys buying. It's about just talking about them. And if you see something you like, that's great. Obviously, go make a bid. And if you're making a bid on PWCC, please use my referral code. It's in the description. I greatly appreciate that. But again, it just shows PWCC that I'm bringing them some value, and we continue what we're doing. So I'm grateful to you guys for tolerating that. Jake says was listening in the background while sorting cards. That's perfect.
That's the
perfect
best
thing to do.
Yep.
Absolutely. Thank you for the 2 thumbs up, Eric Stefano, guys. All right, well, we're going to wrap up. So thanks again. I'll be back tomorrow for the PWCC Weekly Hockey. I'll be back Monday for MC Mondays Live. And then I think a few days off. So Joe wears the Sports Cards Live cap. I love that, Joe. Hodges says, always fun to see some great looking cards. I appreciate that, Hodges. Thanks for joining. Thanks for letting me know you're there, guys. And with that, have a great rest of your Saturday night. Enjoy the rest of the weekend and the week ahead. And we'll see you guys again soon. This episode of After Hours with Joe Poirot is now over. Good night, everybody.